friends, my name's Brittany and welcome to my first YouTube video. Some of you might already know me from my art. If that's the case, then I'm so happy to see you here, but if you're seeing my face for the first time, then welcome. You know, we're all new here today, so let's have some fun. I've been selling my art for about 8 years now online, and I love that. It's been the best time, but I can really feel myself starting to want to like flex my creative muscles in a different way. We're just gonna see how this goes, and I'm just gonna enjoy myself and do more of like what I love, and I'm gonna document it. So this is why we're here. This channel is going to serve as like a hodgepodge really of like my dramatic musings, video essays. There's going to be lots of travels and new adventures, art projects, strange and unusual stories, and hear about your strange and unusual stories. I'm very excited to just kind of build a community of weirdness here. All right, that's what we're all about here in this realm of the world. So if that sounds like your kind of manic episode that you'd like to watch unfold, then consider subscribing so that you can know when I post and see just the deranged things that I'll be putting on here. I'm also going to share my socials down below, and I have a Patreon that I started, but I'll talk about that at the end. So this first video, I'm going to do a deep dive, because what better way to step into this channel than with something that I'm obsessive about, you know? While I do that though, I'm a little nervous. So I am going to be working on a drawing while I'm talking to you about this stuff. So if I'm looking down or anything, just know that like I'm drawing for you. And that's what I want to do for every deep dive, is I'm hoping to be able to have some kind of art project that coincides with whatever the topic is. I'll show you this in a second, but I don't want to just like give away what I'm about to do. Now, usually for deep dive videos, I will start them differently than I started this, but since I had to do an intro to say hello, you know, it's a little different. So I'm gonna get into the whole thing about like what I would do for a deep dive. So just bear with me for 1 second. Under a starry night sky, one cool evening in 1983, a government facility rises out of a blanket of treetops. The night is still and calm as families get ready for bed in the town just a few miles away. The world appears to be at peace. However, the tranquil evening is all a facade as the faint echo of an alarm emanates from below the building, and in the tunnels beneath the facility, a frenzied beast from a foreign dimension wreaks havoc on anything in its path. A time portal must collapse, and every person there is in grave danger. Probably thinking, Brittany, that sounds like the plot of the hit TV series Stranger Things. And to that I say to you, yes, you're correct-ish, but this is actually the batshit crazy true story. Well, we'll get into the trueness of it. The story that inspired the Duffer Brothers in the first place. This is the Montauk Project. Yes, of course I'm talking about Stranger Things right now. I can't believe how much I love this damn show. Of course I have to talk about Stranger Things. I'm going to be talking about, like I said, the crazy story that inspired the brothers in the first place. Before we do, I do just want to issue like a little bit of a warning that there are going to be sensitive topics. I'm not going to get too far detailed into them, but there are topics like psychological abuse and child abduction and, you know, things of that nature. I'm also going to be spoiling a lot of the show probably, so just warning, okay? Spoilers abound. So let's get into it, y'all. July 15th, 2016. Stranger Things releases on Netflix by the Duffer Brothers, Matt and Ross Duffer. What a cultural phenomenon. It captivated millions of people with its blend of fantasy and horror in this gripping story, cast full of fresh faces. Besides the Queen, of course, I'm not referring to the Queen Mother. She is just the OG. I love you. And it has like the biggest blast of 80s nostalgia ever delivered on screen. Honestly, we should all feel lucky that we are here in the time of Stranger Things. So let's talk about a little bit what the brothers envisioned in the first place. They pitched it as a love letter to the 80s, with Spielbergian and King-esque horror and sci-fi blending the ordinary with the extraordinary. They were heavily influenced by real events, especially the Montauk Project. The show was almost called Montauk. For a long time, they were planning on having it be in Montauk because they loved this story. So now we're on the final season. It is really sad to see it all stop and end, but I do also recognize that the children are all like 40 and they need to move on with their lives. Now, before we get into the Montauk Project specifically, I do need to tell you about a different event called the Philadelphia Experiment, because it all ties in together. So the year is 1955. Researcher Morris K. Jessup started receiving letters from a man named Carlos Miguel Allende, I'm not exactly sure how to say this name, so I'm sorry. He would later go by Carl Allen, so we're just gonna call him Carl. In these letters, Carl gave a detailed account of a military experiment that he witnessed on October 28th, 1943, classified experiment aboard the destroyer escort USS Eldridge. Their goal was to develop some kind of cloaking technology using powerful electromagnetic fields. They pretty much wanted to make the ship go invisible to radar. When the experiment began, the story goes that eyewitnesses watched a green mist kind of encapsulate the whole ship. The ship just disappears. It rematerializes in Norfolk, Virginia, 200 miles away. It's there for a couple minutes and then it teleports back to the Philadelphia harbor. When they returned, the crew was apparently in terrible shape. Some of them had been fused with the metal of the ship itself. Some had not come back at all, and there were some that were physically okay, but they had lost their damn minds. So horrific to think about. I can't even imagine. Now, the Navy obviously refuses that anything ever happened. They said that there's no evidence of any of that ever happening. And when Morris asked Carl for more information, he claimed that his memory would need to be further excavated to unlock more information, pretty much, and more evidence. So we'll just take that story and I want you to hold on to it for a little while and just remember it. While I'm telling you that, I do also want to say that it is canon in the Stranger Things universe that this event took place. There is a stage play, Stranger Things: The First Shadow. The Philadelphia experiment is like the beginning of the play. Dr. Brenner's father is the sole survivor of this experiment, and he comes back pretty much catatonic, and this event makes Dr. Brenner eventually open up Hawkins' lab and want to discover what happened to his father. It becomes like his life work to figure all this out. So now that you know about the Philadelphia experiment, let's actually get to Montauk, all right? 1942. Camp Hero was established as coastal defense against Nazi U-boats in World War II. It was designed to protect New York City harbor from German U-boats that were sinking ships in the nearby area. The fear was that they were going to start targeting US cities. So to protect the area, 2 batteries were built equipped with 2 16-inch guns each. And now this meant nothing to me until I actually saw the pictures of these guns, and they are huge. With the batteries came underground tunneling and barracks and all kinds of corridors to connect the facilities at this camp. It was a whole working operation. As World War II came to an end, the threat shifted to the Soviet Union. And in 1951, the Air Force acquired Camp Hero from the Navy. They turned it into a radar surveillance system. The goal was to intercept long-range bombers to stop them before they hit the US cities. Installed this 90-foot tall radar tower, and on top of this radar tower is this enormous 20-foot tall and 40-foot wide dish. It's the biggest radar dish I've ever seen in my life. This thing reminds me, I don't know why, but every time I look at it, it reminds me of, have you guys ever seen pictures of vultures sunning themselves? I don't know why, but that's where my brain goes every time I see pictures of this thing. Eventually, the radar camp, again, it kind of became obsolete. In 1969, it was deactivated because at this point, countries were using ICBMs, or intercontinental ballistic missiles. They could travel across the ocean and reach the US in minutes. So at this point, their surveillance systems for bombers were just pretty much rendered useless. The Air Force officially closed the base in 1981. But their presence remained up until about 1984. Even though it wasn't in operation, they were still very much there. Anybody that tried to get on there, they were met with security immediately. So it led to more speculation as to what's going on there if it's deactivated? Why are you protecting it so strongly still? It being deactivated and completely shut down in 1981 is where the military explanation for Camp Hero ends. Now, I'm gonna have you meet a couple people. Strap in. We're gonna talk about Preston B. Nichols. Preston was an electrical engineer living on Long Island who studied electromagnetic research and radio technology.
In 1974, he was working with a group of psychics to research mental telepathy, and he accidentally discovered a strange phenomenon taking place. Every day at the exact same time, the psychics' minds would just go blank, and no readings were ever able to be picked up during this time each day with no explanation. So the next time it happened, he took out his radio equipment and discovered a powerful frequency blasting through the airwaves.
So Preston decided to investigate, and this reminds me of, like, I just picture this as a movie. So he grabbed his receiver and he rigged a TV antenna on the top of his car, and he just took off down the highway towards the signal, just on a mission to find it. His quest brought him to Camp Hero, and looming over those treetops was that giant radar tower, and he just had to think, what is going on at this highly secure military base that is letting off an insane amount of frequencies here? After a whole decade of wondering, in 1984, when it was deactivated, he decided it was time. Which, hey guys, can I just say, by the way, that I said I was going to draw because I'm nervous, and I haven't touched the pen a single time, but I do want to show you what I'm drawing. So it is going to be Stranger Things related. It's kind of like a D&D picture of the party facing off against a three-headed dragon. But anyway, I haven't been drawing this at all, so I'm just gonna set this aside. So he explored the facility, and he discovered that it was very much just left in a rush. Debris and equipment were everywhere, and it was like they had left in a hurry, like something had gone wrong. As he's exploring the grounds, he claims that he came across a young homeless man living there, and the homeless man said something to him that would change his life forever. So the young man claimed that he used to work there at the base, and he was working on a highly secretive project, and it had to come to an abrupt end in 1983 when a beast got loose and was destroying everything in its path. Then he said that he recognized Preston because Preston had worked there with him. And not only had Preston worked there, but he was an assistant director for the Montauk Project itself. So after Preston visited Camp Hero, he began working with a psychic named Duncan Cameron. And Duncan was a highly exceptional psychic. He was the best performing psychic he had ever worked with. Preston invited Duncan to come explore Camp Hero with him because Duncan had never been there, and he thought this could be a really cool exercise. So when they went, Preston was shocked to find Duncan was very familiar with the place. He knew where all kinds of stuff was before even entering a building. He knew just things that someone who hadn't been there just wouldn't know. Then they entered a transmitter room, and Duncan just went into a trance.
He began spitting out information about secret experiments that he had been involved in right there on that base. It was as if something had been blocking his memories, and now they were able to open. This was a very exciting and revolutionary moment for Preston.
For some reason, Preston believed that he would find this information at his place of work. And now he never really goes into detail about where he works or why he thought this. He actually uses a pseudonym of BGM as his work. He began having weird things happen at his place of work.
He began receiving the kind of mail an executive would receive. People he didn't know recognized him, and he was being invited to conferences that were way above his pay grade.
So after a while of this, he's very much like, what the hell is going on here? I'm having way too many coincidences in my life. There's so much that is not connecting. One day he just decided, I need to follow my intuition and I need to explore. So kind of went on the grounds and was looking around, and he came to this facility that was highly secure. They were guarding something, and I don't know what possessed him. This is just some bold bitch energy, because I could never. Well, maybe, I don't know, fake it till you make it, right? But he decided, I'm just gonna give this a shot, and I'm gonna go up to security and I'm gonna see if I can get in. So that's what he did. He went up to the security guard and he said that he had forgotten his badge and that he needed to get in, and he fully expected them to just turn him away. But the security guard happily let him through and gave him a new security badge that was very high level clearance. Can you imagine? Like, I'd throw up. I would not be able to continue to fake that lie. Completely in shock, he moves forward. He just keeps going, because like at this point, you just got to see how far you can get, I guess. And he found himself wandering through hallways, subterranean hallways. And he had no idea where he was really going, but he walked through navigating the eerie, quiet halls like he knew where to go. He let his gut instincts pull him along and guide him around turns, and eventually that led him to an office door. He opened the door and walked into a very nicely decorated office. He walked up to the desk in the middle of the room, and he saw the nameplate on the desk. He picks it up, and the nameplate reads, Preston B. Nichols, Assistant Director, and all of his memories began to trickle back in for him at this point. One life was living as an electrical engineer for BGM, and in another life he was a project director for the Montauk Project, and he had no idea about that. They were completely altering his memory. What in the severance is going on up in here? So in some ways he doesn't elaborate on. He was able to deprogram he and Duncan's minds so that they could remember what was trapped in their memories. So Preston claims that he worked on Camp Heroes base from 1971 to 1983. He had been recruited to work on a classified project involving mind control, electromagnetic manipulation, and time travel, all taking place in the decommissioned base. And in 1992, he co-authored his book called The Montauk Project, Experiments in Time, with Peter Moon, who is a paranormal researcher. And this book contains everything that would go on to spark this legend that, you know, all of this had happened. Let's actually get into like the meat of what the project is, shall we? You could break the project down really into phases. So the first phase was Phase 1, 1971 to 1973, and this he called the mind control phase of things. He claimed that the project was a continuation of CIA programs like MK Ultra. Instead of drugs, they were using electromagnetic technology, used radio waves to influence humans' emotions and actions. He described transmitters that emit frequencies that could change a person's mood based on the signals that were being broadcasted in the room. Second phase involved what is known as the Montauk chair. The chair was rigged with 3 delta T coils and 3 points around a person's head in the chair. And I want you to picture like this chair was like a big dentist or optometrist chair that just, it has all of this huge machinery on it around where the person's head is. The subject would have to wear a helmet, and inside that helmet there were sensors and coils that would help encourage psychic amplification. The idea was that human thought puts out electromagnetic signals, but they are pretty weak just on their own. But if they had a way to amplify it and broadcast it, then they might be able to turn thought into manifested physical world.
And if it was done correctly, psychics could manifest their thoughts in a few different ways.
Number 1 would be thought materialization. Now this is where a person could think of an object and they would pull it from time or space and that it would appear in front of them. The second phase was called mind projection. A subject sitting in the chair, they could think of a time and place and their consciousness would leave the room. It would just go off to wherever that time and place is, and the subject would still be sitting in the chair, but they would be able to see what was going on in this time and place. Pretty much it's like psychic remote viewing. The third way that things could manifest was time portal generation. Now, this was the most advanced technique. Only the most psychically sensitive could make this happen. In this instance, a subject would, again, they would think of a time and place, and the equipment would be able to manifest enough energy that a portal would open up. Now, I know this sounds like just bonkers, but you know, let's just keep going with it. Let's just keep riding this wave. Phase 3 is known as the Montauk Boys program. In the late 70s time, they needed more subjects. So they went out looking for specifically little children. They were looking for little boys between the ages of 10 and 16 because they believed that child minds were more psychically manipulative, or they were able to be manipulated more. You know what I'm trying to say? They would recruit boys, but they also would just straight up abduct children, and they would bring them back to this facility, and the children would stay in barracks in the tunnels, and they would run tests on these children. I just want to note too, like when you're picturing this, All of the kids in season 1 are like 11 or 12 age, so just picture what little 11 is going through is exactly what they're trying to portray happen to these children, okay? Duffer Brothers highly were influenced by this. Specifically, would focus on time portals and time travel experiments with these children. Some never returned through the portals, some came back with trauma, some came back with missing memories or altered memories altogether, subjected to intensive psychological conditioning, trauma-based programming, and electromagnetic exposure to enhance their psychic abilities. After they were done with these kids, they allegedly would wipe the children's memories so that they had no recollection of what happened at all, and they would return them to their lives, and the children would have never known anything had happened to them. That's where Duncan comes into play. Duncan was one of the children that was experimented on. According to Preston Nichols, he was the most psychically sensitive child that they had ever found. He had this ability to generate time portals better than anybody, apparently. He was that bitch. Duncan could just think of a date and location and a portal would materialize with ease, and researchers were able to walk through. They were even able to drive vehicles through these portals and go conduct their research. Now, all of this came crashing to an abrupt halt on August 12th, 1983. The day started like any other. They were doing a routine portal opening, if that's something that you can even call routine, but they were doing a portal experiment with Duncan, and whether by accident or on purpose, he manifested a huge beast out of the portal, and it just began f***ing everything up. All the equipment, the personnel, it was killing people, it was wrecking everything in its sight. It was complete chaos, and they immediately knew that they had made a huge mistake, and no conventional means to try and stop this creature were working, because it wasn't of the here and now. It was coming from Duncan's mind. So they had to stop the system in order for it to go away. They needed to collapse the portal, and they needed to have this creature go back to wherever it came from. That event completely shut down the project. They were done at that point. And so now that you know about Preston and Duncan's time there in the project, I'm going to now introduce you to my last person, and his name is Al Bielik. I don't know exactly how to say his name. Again, I'm so sorry if I'm butchering these names. Al began attending UFO conferences and paranormal gatherings with a crazy story. He claimed that he was a survivor of the Philadelphia experiment, and that's a bomb in itself. But he also claimed that his name was not actually his name, and that he had been given fabricated memories that were not his, and it was all a lie. So who is this man with these crazy claims? Well, the world knows him as Alfred Bielik, born in 1927. And he lived a pretty unremarkable life. He grew up to be an electrical engineer. Again, not saying that engineers are unremarkable, but according to him, all of that is false. He claimed that his real name was Edward Cameron. And when he was 16 years old, in 1943, he had been serving on the USS Eldridge when an experiment had gone terribly wrong. And he was serving with his brother, Duncan Cameron. By the way, can I just say, like, the fact that the ship is called the USS Eldridge is like, I love it. So he claimed that the experiment that day ripped a hole in space-time. In a panic, he and his brother jumped ship when the experiment was taking place. But instead of them hitting the water, they went through a time vortex. He says that they emerged in the year 2137 in an underground hospital, and that they were being treated for temporal displacement and radiation exposure. Once he and his brother recovered, they were not allowed to stay at this facility. They just didn't belong in this time, and it was going to mess things up, apparently.
Okay.
I don't know all the logistics and rules about time travel, but like, it makes sense, sure. So the authorities of that time had them jump forward in time once more, and they sent them to the year 2749. I don't know why time travel scares the shit out of me, but like it really is like a visceral fear. He claimed that they actually stayed 2 years-ish in the year 2739 or 49, and that they lived on a floating AI governed society, which honestly not that far off from being believable. All of the AI that we have going on, like, it's not hard to see that that's how our future would go. Now, eventually he says that authorities came to them and told them that they needed to go back to 1943 and stop the Philadelphia experiment because it would lead to more catastrophic events if they didn't. When they jumped to go back into time, instead of being sent to the year 1943, they were sent to the year 1983, and instead of Philadelphia, they were placed in Montauk. And this was because the equipment that they were using at Camp Hero was connected to the generators that had been used in the Philadelphia experiment. So he claimed that he and Duncan helped deactivate the equipment and close the temporal connection. And once they had done that, the government took them and erased their memories, gave them different memories, and completely fabricated documents and fake personal history and sent them on their way. And he was starting to come out of that and remember and recall what had happened to him. He gained a ton of recognition from people who were skeptical of this place. This just added fuel to the fire that there was definitely something going on. There is no evidence that any of this has taken place. Believe what you want to believe, but like, I just want to say, officially, there's no documentation that would say otherwise. Either way, the media coverage brought news outlets and paranormal investigators that wanted to know what was going on at this base. While exploring the bunkers and concrete sealed corridors, they noticed strange phenomenon happening. Electronics would malfunction, have this feeling of being watched. Some people experienced time loss. The base is a state park now, and it's open to the public, and you can go on the grounds and explore. You can take some pictures of the crumbling radar tower, but still it remains that most people say that there is an eerie feeling to the place. And I actually would love to know if any of you have ever been, because I've never been there, but I would love to go. From almost all the reports, it just seems like, you know, there's something strange happening in that area. And so that's the story that inspired the Duffer Brothers to create Stranger Things. You can really see, like, this was already such a rich story in itself that of course someone was going to make an adaptation about this. Obviously, I'm gonna say that probably this is fake and that these men were just making these stories up. It makes for a fantastic story, and that's what the Duffer Brothers have given us, is this fantastic, amazing story. I do think that we're gonna see some form of time travel in this season. I mean, the Montauk Project, a huge part of that was time travel experiments, and we haven't really seen that in the show. And Back to the Future was such a huge part of the 80s as well, with Steven Spielberg's nostalgia in it. Like, it just seems like a no-brainer that that's gonna be an element for sure. Just a couple last things that I have to say before I stop rambling is if you find yourself in the Pasadena area between November 22nd and January 24th, then you should definitely go to Sugarmint Gallery and check out the Stranger Things exhibit that they're doing there. It's called Welcome to Hawkins, and I actually have a piece in the show. I did a Creel House drawing, and it's available at the show, as well as a very limited run of prints for that. So if you're able to, definitely check that out and visit. It's an amazing place. They have like really decked it out to look awesome for this exhibit. It's just this full immersive experience. I'm in Ohio, so I can't go, and I'm so sad about it, but if anybody's in the Pasadena area, go check out Sugarmint Gallery. And right next door is the Myers house from Halloween. So you can kind of like get a twofer. You can really see some cool stuff. The last thing I want to say is that I have created a Patreon. I would love for you to join if you want. I am so excited to offer all kinds of fun things for you guys. Like I said with the deep dive videos, I will be doing a drawing or an art piece that kind of coincides with the story or the information that I'm talking about, and then I will always have it available for my patrons. It will only be exclusively on Patreon. Here is the finished drawing of the party facing off against a three-headed dragon in the upside down. It's kind of at the ruins of the Creel house. Will's about to cast a fireball on their asses. There's Mike the Brave
And Dustin and Lucas, of course. So yeah, if you would like to have a print of this or even the original copy, then you have to be a Patreon subscriber and that will be available to you.
With this channel, I really want to make it a lot about actually travels and new experiences and fun times. You know, I want to do ghost investigations and all kinds of stuff. So if you support the Patreon, that is directly helping me achieve those goals. It feels so good to just be flexing this muscle in a different way and having fun and just exploring what I love. And I'm really excited to bring you guys along with me. This probably was a chaotic mess, and I appreciate you for just bearing with me. Subscribe if you want. If you don't, that's cool too, bro. Let me know in the comments if you have been to Camp Hero, because I'm very interested, and please let me know if you have felt weird energy there. I want to build this weird, curious community, and I'm just so happy to have you all here. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.